So why wait to sign Dak? Really, they really are wondering if he has another terrific season and then a playoff disappointment, right? They truly will just let him walk and just start from scratch again. I mean, certainly when we're already talking about how next year's quarterback class really isn't lighting things up based on what we saw this year. I mean, and then you got Justin Jefferson's going to get his bag soon at some point. Don't you want to beat the Vikings to that punch if you're Jerry for CeeDee Lamb? Honestly, like I'm just head scratching over this. It's not my money, and obviously he's an incredibly successful man. But I'm wondering what's up, man. Wondering what's
Micah
up.
Parsons is eligible for a new contract right now, too. And if you play this out for another year or two, and Micah continues to be Micah and is a perennial 14, 15 sack guy, that's going to be an off the charts. That could be a $40 million per year edge rusher in a couple of years. I think the question is not why are the Cowboys waiting to pay Dak? The question that I think is fair to raise is just why are the Cowboys waiting to do everything? Look how many of their core free agents walked in the offseason. You know, Tyler Biadasz, their center. You don't talk about that because it's not one of the top 10 things to talk about with the Cowboys, but that's your center, and he ends up going to a division rival for a lot more money than the Cowboys were willing to pay. Tyron Smith, it got toward the end. It was obvious they weren't going to pay him. He ends up walking. Tony Pollard ends up walking. Two of your edge rushers walked to Washington as well. You could have potentially had more flexibility. You would have had more flexibility if you proactively tried to get something done with Dak, but by all indications, there was no effort, no real even conversation about extending Dak prior to the start of free agency in March, just like things have not advanced on a CeeDee Lamb front or have gotten started yet with Micah Parsons. And Mike McCarthy, I mean, how many times, I understand what happened in the playoff game last year, but how many times does a coach who has 3 consecutive 12-win seasons go into a contract year? And by the way, a bunch of his assistant coaches also in contract years, and they were trying to hire a defensive coordinator in a contract year. There's all these types of different things happening here that all indicate that Jerry, whether this is intention or not, the message sent by the actions is we are in a decision type of year. We're going to see what happens in 2024, and if we have to reboot the entire thing, we'll reboot the entire thing. I know how the coaching staff, Rich, feels about Dak Prescott in that building. He is the hardest worker. He is the guy that everybody rallies around. They love him as a person, all those things. He's played last year with Mike McCarthy calling the plays. That was Dak's best season. They have a playoff flop. It is bad the entire game against the Packers team that, by the way, took San Francisco to the wire the following week. It just feels like Jerry doesn't want to put any money out the door here. He's keeping all options on the table. Do I think that Dak ends up back in Dallas? I think that the closer you get to the start of the season, if there's not movement on the contract front, the harder it becomes to envision Dak being the Cowboys quarterback in 2025 and not finding a payday elsewhere, just like Kirk Cousins did.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.